Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and this video we're breaking down an alternate theory that you might have seen surrounding the ending of Raised by Wolves. Obviously, as we're talking about the last episode, there will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't seen the series yet, then I highly recommend that you turn off now. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for videos like this every day, and please drop a thumbs up if you enjoy it. With that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into the breakdown. Okay, so Raised by Wolves ends with Mother giving birth to a snake-like creature that forces her and father to fly through the core of the planet in order to take the monster away from the humans. That's a very top-level view of the ending, and though we don't know the full ins and outs of how this happened, when discussing the matter, showrunner Aaron Guzokowski cleared up some of it in an interview with the New York Times. Now, when discussing how Mother was able to get pregnant with a serpent in the first place, he stated the following. It's a kind of a weird thing, because it's almost like she's been digitally impregnated with information, as it were. While she was communing with her creator in a virtual space, basically having sex in the simulation, something else got inside her and downloaded her drive with information about how to build a new being. In essence, Mother is like a 3D printer. Her body starts to work on that digital information and it decides that it needs more organic compounds. Because she's an android, her body could download that information and make something out of it. Her body was never designed to give birth though, so it has to improvise a bit to get the thing out of her. The birth is pretty wild, it never fails to disturb me. Same here, Aaron. I don't know what the hell that scene was. However, that should clear some things up, but one of the big questions that remains over the season is where did Mother actually come from? Well, we learned throughout that though she was used as a weapon by the Mithraic, the origins of her design are unknown, and they merely built the necromancers without fully understanding the hows and whys. The plans to the necromancers were handed down through their scriptures, and this allowed them to create the machines. It's basically like when you put together an IKEA sofa, but don't fully understand the pieces of said sofa or the way they are. Terrible analogy, I know, but just stick with me, this is going somewhere. Because of these plans, we know that the necromancers existed for a long time, but what if the characters that we see in the show actually traveled back in time, and this is how the plans for Mother were able to be created in the first place? If we're right, then when the characters traveled through the planet's core, they actually journeyed back to the past, and this is why when they arrive on the other side of Kepler, it looks lush and filled with vegetation. Potentially, this Adam and Eve metaphor of the first man, woman, and a snake creature could be the basis of our own religion, and who knows, the series might end with the trio travelling back to Earth several millennia ago and passing down the story of their life, which would form the basis of Christianity. This journeying away from paradise would be similar to Adam and Eve being cast out of the Garden of Eden, and thus it would retain a certain plot aesthetic. The snake could end up being viewed as the devil, or even worse, it could end up becoming Sol if this theory is correct. Now we could spend all day talking about the allusions to religion in the show, but for the meantime, I just want to focus on the clues in the series itself. Firstly, the final episode of the season is called The Beginning, and this could be taken either way really, but if our theory is correct, then this could actually hint at the beginning being where things first started off. On top of this, throughout the season there are several signifiers that confirm there was life on the planet before the humans arrived. This includes the giant pentagonal shape that the Mithraic stumble across, and other elements that we see throughout the series. At one point, Paul discovers a cave painting, which seems to depict the ending of the episode, and its accuracy hints at it being something from the past rather than a prophecy. It recreates the exact same events as the ending, and has the flying snake as well as Mother and father in a ship. Now the most interesting of the clues out of the whole series for me is the Neanderthal skull and the helmet, which is revealed to have a necromancer head inside of it. From the brief flashes that we get of this helmet in action, it does seem like this was used in some kind of birthing pod, and who knows, if our theory about Mother travelling back in time is true, then this could actually be the future version of the character. Now one of the key things that kinda hints towards this is that there is a mention of devolution happening in the case of the Neanderthal skull. I know people argued with me over this on the last video, but again, in science there's actually no such thing as devolution. I'm not lying to you, I promise. Every single species moves forward and adapts to its environment, or they simply go extinct. Devolution can't exist because of the way that time works, and all of the animals and plants that populate our planet are constantly evolving. Even a slug is as evolved as you are because we exist alongside each other and have evolved from our origins up until this point. Mother and father would likely know this too, and thus the devolution term has potentially been used to show that this skull is literally a less evolved version of a human. Devolution cannot happen through a naturally existing process though, and thus the only thing I can think of that could cause it is time travel itself. Now what we could actually be seeing in the show are the origins of humanity, and through time travel it will be the characters that we've been following that end up populating our planet. In his book Humans Are Not From Earth, a scientific evaluation of the evidence, ecologist Dr. Ellis states that there are several indicators which suggest humans were not born on Earth. It hints that our species was in fact dropped off on the planet by aliens, and there are some notable things that seem to cement this. Ellis states that humans might suffer from bad backs because they evolved on a world with lower gravity. In addition to this, we are also harmed by the environment, such as sunlight. We have a strong dislike for naturally occurring foods, the highest rates of chronic disease, and also babies' heads are so large that women often have difficulty when giving birth. This can lead to fatalities in both mothers and infants, and this problem is a purely human one with no other species on the planet experiencing it at all. We are also far more developed than any other creature that exists on Earth, and whereas we've grown to learn how to communicate, play iPhone games, and order pizzas, animals are unable to. According to Ellis, another strange thing is that human body clocks are actually evolved to expect 25-hour days, which have reportedly been proven by sleep researchers. So if this is true, the show may be hinting at our species being born on Kepler before we were moved to Earth, perhaps to escape the giant flying snakes. Yikes. Who knows, the snakes could have travelled back to Earth, but perhaps they arrived millions of years before the humans because of the way that time works in space, and thus this thing we see at the end actually ended up creating the dinosaurs. Now, we are getting heavily into the speculation zone at the moment, but let's just summarise our theory whilst adding in certain things that may or may not happen. So the end of the series is actually the beginning, and this is confirmed by the episode's title. What we are actually seeing is the birth of humanity, and at the end of the entry, mother and father travel back in time through the planet's core and end up in their own Garden of Eden story, complete with a snake. The humans eventually go searching for them, and potentially using the new ship that's just arrived on the planet, they travel through the core and also back in time. Here they realise that they are actually in the past, and the Mithraic end up going to war with the atheists once more to decide who will rule over the planet. This leads to a huge conflict in which potentially nukes are used, and thus this explains why the Carbos, aka the planet's best food source, is highly radiated. The humans realise that the planet will be inhospitable for a long time, but as they are in the past, they know that at this point in time Earth will be a lush green planet, so they decide to go there. Mother and father stay behind with some of the humans and create the cave paintings that seem to prophesize the future, and she ends up dying herself, which is why she finds a skull of a necromancer. That's pretty much it for the moment, and though the theory isn't airtight, I think there is a lot there that suggests it could be true. I guess we will see when season 2 rolls around, but yeah, that's just a summation of our thoughts 1 week on from the final episode. Now obviously I'd love to hear your thoughts on this theory, and if you agree or not. I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone who commented on our Ending Explained video and helped us spur on a lot of the ideas in this video. There's far too many people to thank, but I really do appreciate everyone taking the time to write such thought out and detailed comments, so give yourself a pat on the back from me. Though you better not ever come within 50 feet of me, otherwise I tell you I'm calling the police. Now if you want to check out that video on our Ending Explained, then it's going to be linked at the end. And don't forget we're giving away 3 copies of the Marvel Phase 1 box set. All you have to do to be in with a chance of winning is like the video, make sure you subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment below. The winner is going to be chosen at random on the 30th of October, so make sure you get involved. If you want to support the channel and get to see content early, then please consider clicking the join button below. You can also come chat to us on our Discord server, linked in the description, or at Heavy Spoilers on Twitter. Thanks for making it until the end of the video, you've been the best, I've been Paul, I'll see you next time. Take care, peace out.